Salatu salamu Rasulullah. Welcome to the letter L from the A to Z of emotional transformation. And I'm back again with Lina. And I think, Lina, we did number one, didn't we?
Yeah,
A
yeah,
together. So back again with you for letter L. Listless to loving. SubhanAllah. So I think maybe it's a good idea to unpack what we mean by listless first. I think people understand what loving means,
yeah.
but for you, what does listless mean?
Um, for me, it was just feeling numb, a bit numb, lethargic, not interested in doing anything. And I wasn't aware that that's what was going on, but that's what was going on. I could easily become overwhelmed just with the thought of leaving the house to do anything, even basic stuff like grocery shopping. So
Mm,
I didn't want to get dressed. So often I just left my pajamas on and got in the car and did what I needed to do. And
mm,
it was not good because sometimes, emergencies would happen. I'd be in a horrible situation wearing my pajamas. So it was just not interested in life in any way.
mm.
Yeah,
That sounds like a really horrible state to be in.
it was. And subhanallah, I didn't realize that this is what I was doing. Like I didn't realize it when it was happening. My kids saw it, but
Mm,
I didn't quite. Um, I thought this is just how I am, and it's okay, and that's it. But yeah, I obviously didn't have much of a life, so it was not okay. It was a
mm,
struggle to work. It was a struggle to do anything.
mm. So listless and lifeless does really sum it up,
But yeah,
subhanallah.
mm,
Um, not having a life, but feeling lifeless as well. And truth be told, I think we all have moments like that. Like we all have patches where it's like, okay, let's just go and Netflix binge and just disappear in somebody else's life because my life just feels too hard. But what you're talking about is that happening for an extended period of time, aren't you? Where it's
mm.
becoming a part of your life.
It happened for years and years and years, and I think it was because I was ill, so that didn't help. I was anxious, that didn't help. So it happened for years. It happened, and I think I was for many years grieving. So it was a variety of reasons, and like I said, I was not fully aware um, that this was my state. I just had no interest, but I didn't really care that I had no interest. So it was very deep non-caring of anything. The only thing, my only purpose in life was to raise my children.
Mm.
That was my only purpose, is just to be there for my children and nothing else. And obviously I wasn't there for them as well I could have been because of the state that I was in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we don't really appreciate the difficult experience they're having because of that state either, right?
that's right. And it was difficult for them, very difficult for them.
Mm. Because they too were also grieving, right?
That's right. They were. Yes. Yeah.
And so instead of being able to be the loving adult that they needed to support them through their grief, you essentially just disappeared on them. You were there physically, but probably not there emotionally, right?
That's right. And that's the thing. I realized that when I started working with you. I
Mm,
didn't even understand it. I didn't even realize it was happening. I
mm,
thought I'm there for my kids, and I thought that that's it. That's all I'm doing is I'm there for my kids. That's what gave me some comfort. I'm there for my kids. In fact, I was not there for my kids.
yeah.
Um, Not in the way they needed. Not in the way they needed. I mean, in the basic, eating, drinking, taking them somewhere, picking them up, but not at an emotional level.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting realization when we realize that, because I have been through like a similar sort of experience myself in terms of shutting down emotionally. and
Mm.
realizing that I have to turn the emotions back on again.
Yeah, and subhanallah, it was a conscious decision that I'm doing this, and it wasn't a conscious decision to come back
Mm.
into a normal, if you like, for I don't know, I'll call it normal being. It happened when I understood certain things, and automatically I came back.
Mm.
So I didn't have to think about it. It once I understood certain things and I started to reconnect to my own fitrah and reconnect in a way that I hadn't before, that's when I realized, oh my goodness, where have I been? I don't know where I've been, you know?
Mm. And isn't that interesting? So you came on a journey with me
Mm.
because your school was implementing the work that we do at your school. So it wasn't that you chose to come and join me, it's that you found yourself with me, and that's how Allah works, which is so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then you weren't there for your own personal journey, you were there because you were learning to be able to train a program for the kids.
that's it. Yep.
And yet, look at the profundity of the
Yeah.
outcome from that journey.
Yeah. SubhanAllah. Like, I initially did it for the school, but as I started learning with you for the school, I realized I wanted to know more for myself, because I realized that I have stuff going on that I could probably benefit from understanding what I was going to be teaching and what you were teaching me. So subhanallah, it was an automatic thing. Like I said, I didn't make a conscious choice. Oh, I'm going to be good now. Just
Mm,
step by step, I started to see, oh my goodness, there is a way of being. I'm okay. I just didn't know how to be okay. All my
mm.
thinking and all my issues and all my grieving, and it was just taking over.
And the other thing I think the listeners to understand is, in all this journey of working with you, I haven't actually had a session with you where we've actually faced face on these issues. Like I haven't actually coached you through them or tackled them with you. Little incidental things along the way in sessions, but we've never had a session where we've dug deep into the source of all of that. That the implication of this understanding is that it fell away by itself.
Yep. It fell away by itself, and I understood. Like, I would listen to other people's, when we had our sessions in a group, I would listen to you mentoring other people and unpacking their situations, and some of that would resonate with me, and it would be almost like, oh, I've had an insight right now listening to all this stuff. Um, and alhamdulillah, it just fell away. I didn't feel like I needed to say, oh, hey, Catherine, I need help with this, because it was just falling away very quickly. I think I was just very hungry for it. And it's like I was ready. Allah placed you in my life at the right time, because was time. I was ready.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
And I think that is a key point too, isn't it?
Yep.
That um, you have to want to change, and to want to change, you have to have hope that it's possible for any of this to work. And then if you have those two key elements, Allah will just facilitate the rest, just as He has for you, which was just so beautiful. He knew you needed something, and it came through your work without you realizing. And here you are now, a certified mentor and coach at Back to the Fitrah, and very passionate about passing this message on to others. So I think, we've really talked about the listlessness, and we've talked about
Mm.
how the transformation happens. Let's talk about that loving feeling.
Yeah. It's
There's
wonderful.
nothing like that loving feeling, is
Yeah.
there?
it's beautiful because I think the first people who um, have experienced that are my children, because I
Mm.
realized that maybe I was not accessible. And my son, it's really interesting. Everybody's different. My son never really seemed to be affected. He felt that I was there for him. I think he understood it in a different way than my daughter. But my daughter, I think we had a very strained relationship. And in the last couple of years, it's amazing. It's
Mm.
really amazing, alhamdulillah. So I can really feel I love my daughter, but I always felt like she was a little bit, detached from me. But now
But
I'm
wasn't it
feeling,
you detached from her,
yes, well, that's
actually?
right. Well, that's right. We were detached from one another, and it was my demeanor that caused that, because
Mm.
I know she's a very sensitive, very caring person, and she didn't know how. She didn't know
Mm.
how to get to me, and once I allowed it, it just happened.
So how old is your daughter now?
She's 32, 32.
So the reason I'm asking that is
Mm.
because I want people to know it's never too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late for that relationship to be back on track.
That's right. It's never too late, ever. That's the relationship that really mattered to me the most, and is the one that has really benefited the most from this transformation. But I've noticed it with everybody, not just my daughter, with everybody.
Your
Um,
students love
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Alhamdulillah, they do. Alhamdulillah. And my way of teaching generally has completely changed in
Mm.
terms of my dealing with difficult situations, or with um, difficult situations in the classroom management, things like that. I don't deal with them the way I used to, and the results are much better, much better. And the students love me as a result of it, and I love them, alhamdulillah. So it's really a beautiful thing.
So I'm curious to talk about the classroom because that's an
Mm.
area I feel that we can shift a lot of things in the Muslim world. And I think when we're looking at behavior management, often it's like, oh, what strategies should we use? Step charts, rewards, consequences, all those types of things to manage behavior. And we get caught up in that idea. But it's not that you're doing things differently on purpose, is it? It's that you're
No,
showing up in the classroom in a different way. Do you want to share with us a little bit more about what is the difference between before and now?
yeah, I think I want to give you just a very quick little story. And this was somebody I didn't know while I was relief teaching. So because we're so focused on the legalities and what will happen if something goes wrong, and I had this kid in the classroom putting uh, chairs on top of tables, and he wanted to sit that way, and he was rocking and doing all sorts and I can see he's going to fall and it's going to be a disaster. And I felt myself getting anxious and stressed and telling him to get off now, get off, and of course he wasn't. And when I reflected, I realized because I wasn't doing it because I was caring about him. I was doing it out of fear of the consequence for all of us if should he fall. And
Mm,
the minute that came to me, that's the beautiful thing. We still can slip back into old behavior, but very quickly you realize, oh, this is not who I want to be anymore. So when I started to really show concern for him, he stopped doing it. And it was so simple and so easy. And it's not somebody who even knows me. This is like I'm a random teacher who's come into his classroom for a day. And I thought, subhanallah, how easy it is if you can really connect from love, because that's what it was. It was before I was just scared that I would get in trouble. It's happening on my watch, right? But then
Mm,
when I shifted that to, I'm actually concerned for this child.
mm.
He could actually be very badly hurt. And then my behavior changed to show him that I'm concerned about you. He reacted in a whole different way, and there was no more problem.
And that's so beautiful because what I see is that a lot of our approach is a fear-based approach, which is what you were talking about. But then you switched back to a loving, which is like a more faithful approach. And the kids get it. They sense it
Yep.
immediately. They can sense where we're coming from. And it's really interesting. There's actually research, and I can't remember exactly how they worded it, but I'll explain what they shared was they researched students and teachers about what they're looking for. And they found that the teachers were waiting for the students to show them respect and concern before they would give them their care and concern. And students were waiting to see if the teacher really cared before they would give their respect. And so it was called the like a destructive spiral, because both sides are waiting for the other side before there can be a good relationship, good connection, and good working together environment.
I think, oh, you froze for a moment there.
Subhanallah. So my belief is that we're the adults, so it's our responsibility, not up to us to wait for them. It's up to us to show them. And what you just shared with us is the perfect example of that. That it's not even about building weeks of trust. It's in an instant.
Yep.
And
It really,
when they sense you care, then they comply.
yeah. And the thing is, I've always cared, and I mean, even before, but I didn't know how. I was almost emotionally tied up. I didn't know how to express it, and now it's so beautiful. It just comes naturally.
Yeah, and it's not even about expressing it. It's you didn't know how to be in it.
That's it. I didn't know how to be in it.
There was a
I
sort of an intellectual caring, but not a heartfelt caring.
Yeah,
Because it perhaps, and this is what I think, it's just insight I just had now talking to you. I think there's a fear that if we care too much, they'll take advantage of us. And so we keep the care here intellectually rather than here as a heartfelt care, because that's how we need to navigate it in order to make sure that we keep the so-called control in the classroom.
yeah,
And I think that can apply to all aspects of life. We're talking about the
mm,
classroom at the moment, but I think that can actually flow on to everything, which is really fascinating, isn't it? How it's just a simple switch in our mind. And because what you just described, it was a momentary switch that changed
yeah,
everything. It wasn't
yeah.
a let's sit down and have a talk about this and we'll unpack it and we'll figure it out. It was, hang on, I'm going to sneeze. Alhamdulillah.
Yarhamakum Allah.
It was a thought in the moment. At least I managed to mute myself so I didn't
Yeah.
blow drums. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Lina. Such a amazing story of how easily things can turn around just through one thought in the moment. And that is what all these emotional transformations are about, aren't they? As soon as the thinking changes, it's actually an immediate transformation. You don't have to wait. You don't have to
Yeah,
go through painful therapy. You don't have to go through a great ordeal to transform. It's just moment in the moment. As soon as you see it from that different perspective, subhanallah. So it's one thought away, and your story
that's it.
proved that, subhanallah.
And I just want to say one last thing is a lot of people feel like, oh, but I keep going backwards, or, you know, once you really fully understand and you get it, you will not, we're human. We will have moments where things creep in, but you will realize very quickly.
Mm,
And once you realize very quickly, because that becomes your norm, your norm becomes to be in that loving state, in that conscious state,
mm,
in the current moment, not worrying about everything else in the world. Once you actually live this way, it's very easy to quickly realize, oh, I'm having these strange thoughts, and let's let them go. And so, alhamdulillah, it actually, you stay in that state. The thing I want to get through to people is that you really do. Once you've transformed, you're transformed. There's no
mhm,
going back. It's impossible to go back. It
mm,
really is impossible. Once you're there permanently, inshallah.
mhm.
Doesn't mean we're not going to have struggles, we will, but we will deal with them in a different way than we used to. And it will be so much better and so much easier to live in that state.
Jazakallah khair for sharing that. It's really important point. So, we'd love to invite others to have this transformation. We have a special offer for Ramadan where for $290 you can have lifetime access to all the support, all the education and support that you need to have this type of transformation for yourself. The link is back to the Fitrah.online, and the details are all there. There's lots of bonuses, there's lots of amazing things there. But the key thing is it's not just a program, which at that price point normally would be just like a do it yourself program. There's actually about 5 live sessions every week that you can choose from to attend, to be supported, to learn more, to get closer to Allah, which is obviously where this loving feeling comes from, because Allah is Al Wadud, the source of all love, subhanallah. And so, yes, we've tried to put this environment together that everybody can be a part of and everybody can feel this loving feeling, inshallah. Not just towards others, but towards ourselves and most definitely towards our Creator. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, yep.
Jazakallah khair, Lina. This has been brilliant.
Thank you, Catherine.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah wa barakatuh.